So, what did I make of the AJ Dubois face-off? Wow. The first thing I noticed is that AJ, he's got that killer look in his eyes again. The first time I really noticed it was against Dillian White. It's hard to explain, but he just has this look in his eyes where he just looks like he wants to knock you out. He doesn't look like he wants to talk. He just looks like he wants to knock you out. And that's a good thing, right? It shows that AJ's up for this fight. So that was the first thing I noticed. I was like, oh, I think AJ is ready. I think AJ really is back. And I think he does want to knock out Dubois. I think the mental demons, there aren't any evidence of them being there. I guess they wouldn't come out until a fight night anyway, but AJ's looking good. I thought Dubois did well to stand up for himself. Obviously, there was that little minute at the end where Dubois was like, we can go right now. And AJ's like, I'll throw this chair through your face. I thought it was clever from Dubois, AJ could be like, oh, this guy's, so much younger than me. I can take care of him easily. But I think that was necessary for Dubois just to show, you're not going to walk through me. Just to stand up for himself a little bit. I always find it so funny with fighters because they're almost quite sensitive at times. They really don't like disrespect. AJ says it a lot. He says, oh, don't disrespect me. He said it before, the Hellenius fight as well. He doesn't like being disrespected, but, he's a fighter. You'd think he'd have tough skin. And it's the same thing with Tyson Fury, He's a tough, fighter, world champion. But, he blocks people if they think he's going to lose a fight. I just find that, quite interesting, Why is it the fighters are almost sensitive in a way? I'm not criticising it. I'm just thinking it's an interesting point to make. There was a little bit of back and forth about, obviously, the Hrgović fight. If Dubois gets caught with the right hands that Hrgović hit him, is Dubois staying up? Did Dubois actually hurt Hrgović? Because the fight was stopped on cuts. I think, obviously, Dubois was hurting Hrgović. And I think the fight was only going one way, right? But that was just something that was brought up. AJ claimed that he could win any way he wants. And there was this bit of an odd bit where they were where Dubois was like, I've been to Brazil. And then AJ was like, oh, I know what you're doing in Brazil. What was he doing in Brazil? I can't think of it personally. Is there any heavyweight champions out there in Brazil? Not that I can think of. Or previous heavyweight champions. So I'm not quite sure what he was doing in Brazil, but clearly they both know. I think another thing that Dubois said was, Frank Warren said on behalf of Dubois was, it's a lot of limiting beliefs that Dubois had to get rid of. A lot of boxing is mental. I remember hearing Shane McGuigan talk about Craig Richards, and why he's done really well in some of these world champion fights against, Bivol, against, top people in the division like Boazzi, but he's just never got over the line. And Shane McGuigan was like, a lot of it's just limiting beliefs. If you go in there telling yourself, you can't do it because you've lost or you've fallen short of the mark just in the past, that'll show it in the ring. Look at Dubois, right? He's got all the physical attributes he could ever want, but I think it was the mental, the limiting beliefs that held him back. And Frank and Daniel are both saying they've got rid of them now. And I always come back to the thought that I do think Dubois has had tougher fights than AJ. I think Hrgović and Miller, I give them both, I think they're both good fighters. Obviously not everyone's going to agree with me, but from the sparring stories I've heard about Hrgović, he's a monster. And Miller is so big, so tough. I think people just dislike him because he's a drug cheat, which is fair enough, but I think they're two solid wins. I would give them more credit than Volin, Ngannou and Hellenius. But that's just my personal belief. And again, to give AJ some leeway, he did try to fight Dillian White, but obviously he got done for drugs, right? But I think they overturned it. So he did try to fight Dillian White, which would have been a better name than obviously Hellenius. So I'm not saying that's completely AJ's fault. In terms of the probability of who's going to win the fight, I think it's a little bit closer than some people are saying. I quite like Dubois. I think he can hit hard. I do think he's ready, but the age concerns me, right? I think AJ's 34, Dubois 26. You think that's 8 years more in the gym, That's a lot of experience that I think is going to play a big part in this fight. I think I'm about 70% AJ, 30% Dubois, 65-35. At the moment, that's what I'm thinking at the moment. I give Dubois a good chance, but AJ should be too experienced, shouldn't he? But it's a very exciting card, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think the undercard's really good as well. A lot to get excited about. apparently Dubois has a little bit more power than AJ as well. Lawrence Curley was saying he thinks Dubois' power is a 10 and AJ's is a 9. But AJ is slightly faster. AJ's a very good counterpuncher as well. I was watching some of his highlights and I was like, against Klitschko, and I was like, he counterpunches really well. You know, he's not just necessarily like, you know, just looking for that big shot the whole time. But, you know, he can box, he can counterpunch. And, you know, AJ did say he thought he could win any way he wants. And could it be a 12-round war like Clark Wardley? Will it be a stoppage? Will it be like a 4-round dogfight? One of them just out of there? I can see it going a lot of different ways. I think I'll have to do a little bit more of a detailed breakdown because there are lots of possible ways that I could see it going. But yeah, there were just my thoughts on the face-off. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.